Hello folks, pretty much since the release of the 2025 World of Warcraft roadmap back in December, most of us who follow WoW have been speculating that the full reveal for the Midnight expansion would be at this year's Gamescon, and when Blizzard confirmed a few weeks ago that they would have an official presence at Gamescon where they would be sharing Midnight news and updates, it's been all but certain. Which means that their formal announcement this week that the reveal would indeed be happening at Gamescon took precisely nobody who's not been hiding under a rock for the last 6 months by surprise. This though does not mean that the announcement had nothing new in it, as up until now there haven't really been any specifics about what to expect, which means that we can this week go through all the major details including timing. The main opening cinematic for Midnight will be included in the Gamescom opening night live event, which takes place on Tuesday the 19th of August starting at 8 PM Central European Time. This event will be available online for people who cannot make it to Germany in person. Immediately following the opening night live broadcast, Blizzard will be releasing a full Midnight reveal on the World of Warcraft YouTube and Twitch channels, featuring executive producer Holly Longdale, senior game director Ian Hazzikostas, and creative director Chris Metzen, with a deep dive into the new zones, game mechanics, features, and storyline. While the precise timing of this broadcast have yet to be confirmed, the opening night live event is scheduled to end around 10 PM Central European Time. This year's announcement is going to feel a little bit different to the usual expansion reveal, as of course not only do we know the name of the next expansion, Midnight, and its main feature, player housing, but in BlizzCon 2023, Chris Metzen did reveal that we'd be returning to the old world, to the lands of Quel'Thalas in particular, as Azeroth faces an assault from the forces of the Void, seeking to destroy the Sunwell. And Blizzard have now shared some rather interesting artwork of that potential assault. World of Warcraft, as it turns out, is going to have a very significant presence at Gamescon, similar in scale and content in fact to what we're used to from BlizzCon events in an expansion reveal year, with the following days through to the 22nd of August featuring a live streamed creator clash event which will feature player housing, Mythic Plus and Delve matches, along with a cross-region arena competition. In-person events are also going to include developer panels, a cosplay showcase, developer meet and greets, and the usual round of developer interviews. It certainly does sound like a great year to be visiting Gamescom if you're a World of Warcraft fan. For those of us who won't be able to make it in person, while it's not confirmed, I do expect that many of the main panels and events will also be available online, and Blizzard have promised to share a full schedule in the near future, which I will be sharing with you once it's available. If it's possible, I am considering doing a live stream of the event. If that's something you'd be interested in, then do let me know in the comments. And of course, I will be doing a full recap of everything that is revealed, along with my reactions to it all in my regular updates. So if you're not already a subscriber, then do hit that button now so that you don't miss out. Ever since the 2023 reveal, I've always felt that Midnight sounded like it was going to be the most exciting of the World Soul Saga expansions, so I'm really looking forward to finding out more about what will be in offer. Moving on now to things that are a little bit closer, and this week's patch 11.2.0 PTR build came with the surprise announcement of an extra feature. Data mining had already discovered signs of an upcoming revamp to the players' personal banks, but with no official announcement, I think that most of us had been expecting that would go live in one of the upcoming minor patches, but we're actually going to be getting it a bit sooner, as it's now been confirmed that it is part of patch 11.2.0. The new updated bank will be combining our main bank, reagent bank, and also void storage into one, and uses the same tab structure that we're already familiar with from the Warband bank. As with the Warband bank, we will be able to designate one or more tabs for reagents, which will enable us to continue to craft directly from the bank. Capacity wise, there's going to be 6 98 slot tabs available, offering a total of 588 slots. In comparison, the current player bank offers a maximum of only 280 slots, but if you include the reagent bank and void storage, that does take it up to 538 slots, although the removal of the old void storage usage restrictions are going to make those slots a lot more useful than they are now. So unless you are a very heavy user of void storage, it's still going to feel like a major boost to our inventory space. I personally always found the standard bank's user interface in World of Warcraft to be very awkward and annoying to use. Items put inside the bags are pretty much invisible, making them very hard to find unless you use some kind of add-on to reskin it into a more useful format. And this does mean that the new bank is going to offer a really nice quality of life boost for heavy users of the bank. For new characters, just like the Warband Bank, these tabs do have an unlock cost, although thankfully it's not as extreme as the Warband Bank, with a full unlock setting you back just over 9,000 gold. For characters created before patch 11.20 releases, max level 1s are going to have all of the slots unlocked for free, which is a pretty nice bonus. And for those lower level characters, the number of tabs that will be unlocked will be based on how many slots the character had unlocked before the patch launches. This of course does raise the question if fully unlocking the slots on lower level characters before the patch releases would save us some gold. Unlocking the Reagent Bank, Void Storage and the current bank bag slots cost us just 411 gold, plus the cost of 7 bags, which of course does vary depending on auction house prices or crafting costs. Based on my own maths, the break-even point is 1,200 gold per bag, so unless your auction house is having a very bad day, the answer is that unlocking the slots in advance will likely save you quite a bit of gold. And it's also worth keeping in mind that the current Winds of Mysterious Fortune event does offer a chance of awarding a free 32 slot bag from the Mysterious Pristine Satchel, which can drop once a day for level 10 to 79 characters from just about any content they do. When I tested the conversion process on the PTR, it was pretty fast and straightforward, with the first 3 tabs being filled with my main bank's items, the next slot with the Reagent Bank contents, and the remaining 2 slots mirroring the existing 2 void storage slots. And for those of you who are wondering, my current bank's bags were also to be found that they are sitting waiting for me in the new bank. That said, in their announcement, Blizzard did warn that at very busy times, the bank conversion could be delayed, which means that when you first log in, you might not be able to access your bank until the conversion does eventually complete. It's fair to say that this has made many players a little bit nervous about the conversion process, especially given how buggy patch releases have been of late. Just under a year ago, the migration of guilds to be region-wide led quite a few guilds to see items disappear from their banks, and while Blizzard did try to restore those lost items, that restoration wasn't very successful, so those concerns I think are quite reasonable. I do think that characters' personal banks are likely from a tech point of view to be a bit simpler than guild banks, which were shared across both players and regions, so I do think that the risk of any issues beyond being locked out of the bank for a couple of days perhaps is much lower. That said, I do have a little bit of a survival guide for you. Firstly, I do recommend that before the patch releases, you do transfer any items like raid materials and crafting reagents that you'll be needing for the first few days out of the bank and into either your character's bags or your Warband bank. There is, I think, a very decent likelihood that you may not be able to access your bank for a day or 2 at the launch of the new patch. Secondly, I do think it's also worth doing the same for any items of major sentimental value or which would cause you major pain if you did lose them. For example, things like the BFA cloak and Heart of Azeroth. My third tip is to take a screenshot of your bank's contents. Realistically, if the worst was to happen, Blizzard are very unlikely to accept an easily faked screenshot as proof to restore precious items, but it will at least mean that you will have a way of confirming the contents. It's very easy to get confused about what lives where and to convince yourself that you've lost something when it's actually hiding in a completely different character. And even a perfectly smooth conversion is almost certain to mess up how the items are arranged in the bank, and a record of your current arrangement will make it a lot easier to recreate it. My fourth tip is to disable any bank add-ons along with other user interface add-ons that reskin your bank on patch day. This is a very major change and it will for sure break such add-ons until the developers can update them. And the one thing that you really don't want to happen in patch day is to give yourself a major fright when a broken add-on makes your bank look like it's empty when it's actually perfectly fine. And my fifth and final tip is don't go overboard. It's honestly fairly unlikely that the process will go wrong at all, and I would bet that most of what is in your bank isn't really all that valuable and is quite easy to replace. Let's be honest, is losing a few shiny pet charms or Mechagon scrap parts really the end of the world? Of course not. And those old artifacts and legendaries are only in my bank because the game won't let me delete them, meaning that even if they did go missing, Blizzard would actually be doing me a bit of a favour. And is the bank contents of that character that you've not logged into since Cataclysm really worth even checking in on? Staying on the subject of PTR changes, and there is one thing that we are for sure not going to lose, and that is Valorstones. Up until now, like many of the other seasonal currencies, Valorstones have been reset to 0 with the launch of new patches. However, Blizzard have now confirmed that this time around they are not going to be reset. On our main characters, this probably doesn't make much of a difference, as we tend to get so many stones from early patch content that will hit the cap very quickly anyways. But it does mean that there could be a major benefit to transferring some excess Valorstones over to your alts in advance of the new patch. I certainly do find that Valorstones can be a bit of a constraint in alts due to not me doing much in the way of world content on them, and it is worth being aware that Blizzard have previously confirmed that the ability to transfer Valorstones between characters is going to be turned off for at least the first half of Season 3. Blizzard though have also taken a little bit of time out to share some more details about exactly what is going away when the new Season 3 gets going proper on the August the 12th, and very handily they have confirmed that the majority of it is going to remain available for the first week of the patch. One exception to this is going to be the expansion's meta achievements such as Master Blaster, which awards an extra tier item, and Dress to the Nines, which awards the mythic tier set cosmetic embellishments. These are going to be going away on the 5th, although the tier set embellishments will be moving to be a very rare drop in future. For the raid, both the ahead of the curve and cutting edge achievements will be going away, along with the puzzling cartel chips and associated vendor, but not until the 12th of August. This does mean that with Season 3 champion gear being available for the first week of the patch, this could end up helping some guilds to knock those achievements off last minute. However, the big G mount will still be obtainable and will continue to be guaranteed to drop for 2 players through to the end of the expansion, after which it will switch to becoming a very rare, most likely 1% drop. For Mythic Plus, all of the main Mythic Plus seasonal achievements, including Keystone Explorer, Keystone Master, Keystone Hero, and Keystone Legend, along with the Mythic Plus dungeon portals, will all also be going away on the 12th. However, the Enterprise and Hero title, which is awarded for being in the top 0.1%, it's going to be going away when the patch drops the week before on the 5th. One implication of this announcement is that it does appear that Blizzard are going to be making it possible to continue to run the Season 2 Mythic Plus dungeons for that first week of the patch, alongside the new Season 3 pool on Mythic Zero only. For PvP, all of the main seasonal achievements are also going to be going away on the 12th of August. However, the seasonal ratings are going to be locked at 11 PM server time the night before the new patch releases. For Delves, all of the main seasonal achievements are also going to be going away, as will the title and mount appearances for defeating the Underpin in hard mode. However, the back appearance that is awarded from the Underpin's easy mode will be switching from a guaranteed drop to become a low drop chance. Also going away is the Just Keep Swimming title for completing a copious delve without losing your breath on tier 8 or higher. The removal of that last achievement does seem a little bit surprising at first, but on the PTR, the 2 copious delves are actually no longer underwater, meaning that maybe, just maybe, we'll actually want to run them in Season 3. And if you have not yet obtained the OC91 Chariot, which is the amount that is awarded for filling out the 1117 Delve talent tree, this is still going to be available, moving to costing 15,000 undercoin in Season 3. This is rather a lot of undercoin, and grinding that out is going to take a lot longer than it currently does to fill out the talent tree. So if you haven't already got the mount, I do still recommend getting it now. You can farm the currency for the talent tree quite easily from level 1 delves. One thing that was very conspicuous by its absence in Blizzard's update was any mention of horrific visions, which strongly suggests to me that they are indeed going to continue to remain to be available to do after the end of this season. That could, of course, just be an oversight. But as the horrific visions are also still doable in the PTR, I do think that Blizzard are following the pattern they established back in the original BFA version and plan to leave them up as they are. The one remaining question about those visions is if they are going to have their difficulty adjusted for Season 3. I know that quite a few people have yet to complete a full 8 mask run, and if the difficulty is not adjusted, those 8 mask runs could become a hell of a lot easier to do midway through the next season. And my final update for 11.20 is some very rare good news for the PvP community. It's very fair to say that the War Within's Gladiator mounts, which are awarded to the top players in 3v3 arenas, haven't been super popular with that community, with this season's variant in particular getting an especially tepid response. The good news is that Blizzard have now acted upon that feedback with a significant update to the mount. While it's personally not to my taste, this new update has been very positively received by the PvP community. Even as an outsider looking in, PvP in World of Warcraft has been feeling a bit neglected as late, and it's really good to see that community getting at least one little bit of good news. And looking even further ahead towards Legion Remix, one very major question was if any of the time-limited rewards from Legion, especially the Mage Tower appearances, would be making a return. And this week we have had a bit of an update in a blue post in the forums. In this post, Blizzard explained that they generally prefer not to ever bring back iconic time-limited rewards from the past, such as the Corrupted Ashbringer, and this philosophy is going to apply to the Mage Tower and PvP appearances from Legion, along with the seasonal PvP gear. But the developers did go on to say that they are going to be offering even more rewards than what Remix had, and this is going to include the return of some other rewards, including Mythic Chosen Dead Ensembles, the pre-patch event gear, but also, very surprisingly, the Violet Spellwing, which was the Legion ahead of the curve amount. I'm personally not a fan of FOMO limited time rewards, and I really don't think that they have a place in the modern game. And I've also no issues with older rewards that I personally have becoming available to a new generation of players. But at the same time, I do think that where players were promised in the past that rewards would not be available again in the future, I do think that the developers should stand by that promise, as FOMO-style rewards, for better or worse, do encourage more players to push for them, and bringing back such rewards is very disrespectful for the time that those players spent. And that's it for this week's update. How do you feel about the changes to the bank? Are you looking forward to a bunch of extra space, or just being able to better organise it all? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you found this update helpful, entertaining, or even just plain annoying, then do let me know by hitting that like icon. And if you want to support my channel to grow and help me to make more of these videos along with my other content, then hit that subscribe button right now before you forget. And if you don't want to miss out whenever I release a new video, then as well as subscribing, you can follow me on social media for notifications. My links are in the description below as well. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.